All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, time in this truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Now, this lesson is going into, prosperity and victory come of the Lord. All right, it really doesn't matter, what circumstances, all right, we find ourselves in. We understand that prosperity and victory come of the Lord. All right, it doesn't matter how unmatched it may seem, how outnumbered it may look. All right, prosperity and victory come of the Lord, and this is why we're supposed to put our trust in the Lord and not in these, not in not in riches, not in tools or basically these carnal things. All right. Which, when we read this, the book of Proverbs, chapter 21, verse 31, it says, the horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. And see, it's not a wicked thing to prep, all right? Because the scriptures say, the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Now, when the scriptures say the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, all right, is speaking of returning unto the Lord. All right, the scriptures speak about making the Lord your hiding place, your hideaway, your sanctuary, your refuge, man. The scriptures say the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and are safe. All right. When the scriptures say the prudent man, the wise man, foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. All right. It's not really speaking of, he store up on non-perishables and canned goods and, water and guns and ammunition and he puts his trust in those things. No, he puts his trust in the Lord. He seeks the Lord. But see, carnal preparation, all right, there's nothing wicked about carnal preparation. But where foolishness comes is when you put your trust in those carnal things. All right, because we understand that that prosperity and victory come of the Lord, man. Our trust is in the Lord. All right, because you have these people that are going to have their trust in these carnal things, and it's going to fail them, man. Because ultimately, let's get some more scriptures. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 44, verse 6. It says, for I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me, man. All right, your weapons of war, riches, non-perishables and canned goods and water and, these carnal things, man, against the day of evil. None of these are going to, it's not a wicked thing to prep. But once again, the foolishness is when you put your trust in these carnal things and not in the Lord. Because ultimately, you know that prosperity and victory come of the Lord, man. It says, verse 7, but thou hast saved us from our enemies and have put them to shame that hated us. In the Most High we boast all the day long and praise thy name forever, Selah, man. And the scriptures say, in the Most High we boast all the day long, man. And let's show you, how the Lord moves, man. All right, I want to get the book of Judges, chapter 7, verse 2, right? Now, this is the book of Judges, chapter 7, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Merah in the valley. And the Lord Yahweh Shemawashah said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into thy hands. So basically Jake was going to make war with the Midianites, man. All right. And the Lord said unto Gideon, that is too many people. All right. For me to give the Midianites into your hand. All right. It says, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying my own hand has saved me. And when you get the definition of the word vaunt, it goes into what? Boast about or praise, man. You see? So here it is. There was too many, all right, of the Israelites for the Midianites to be given into our hands unless Jake would boast in themselves and say they saved themselves, man. All right. When the Lord wanted to show his power, man, and in the times that we're coming into, us trusting in the Lord, us understanding that prosperity and victory come of the Lord is going to show his power, man. All right. In these situations where it's going to seem, outmatched, all right, outnumbered, or, wherever the circumstances may be, all the odds against you, we understand that prosperity and victory come of the Lord. It don't matter what the situation looked like. All right. And here it is. Jake had numbers, and the Lord saying it's too many. Okay. The Lord wanted to cut down the numbers so he could show that I'm the one who saved you, man. Okay. And going back to, as we read in the book of Psalms, it said what? In the Most High we boast all the day long, man. All right. Okay. Not in ourselves, not in these carnal things, not in riches, and all right. So Khan, man. So Khan. All right. And that show you how the Lord worked, man. All right. He said it's too many. He cut down the number. All right. So let's also get this. First Maccabees. All right. This First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 17. And this is our forefather Judas. Okay. This is First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 16. It says, and when they came near to the going up of Beth Horon, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company, who, when they saw the host coming to meet them, said unto Judas, how shall we be able, being so few, to fight against so great a multitude and so strong, seeing we are ready to faint with fasting all this day? So the odds was against them, man. All right. They have fewer numbers. They were fasting. All right. So they were weaker, All right. But as we just read in the book of Judges, we see how the Lord worked, man. All right. Let's keep reading. Verse 18, it says, unto whom Judas answered, is it no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few? And with the Most High, the God of heaven, it is all one to deliver with a great multitude or a small company. It don't matter, man. It says, for the victory of battle standeth not in the multitude of an host, but strength cometh from heaven, man. And that's the point, man. Prosperity and victory come of the Lord. It don't matter what the odds look like, what the numbers look like, what's the statistics. All right. Prosperity and victory come of the Lord. All right. Let's get some more. Let's get I want to get Ecclesiastes. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, verse 11. It says, I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift. It's not to the fastest. All right. It says, nor the battle to the strong. It's not to who has the most strength. It says, neither yet bread to the wise. All right. Nor yet riches to the men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill. But time and chance happeneth to them all. And time and chance is in the hand of the Lord. All right. Time and chance is in the hand of Yahweh Shema Shai. The scriptures say how a man's heart devises his way, but the Lord directed his steps. All right. Time and chance is in the hand of the Lord, man. Once again, prosperity and victory cometh of the Lord, man. All right. We understand that all things obey the will of the Lord. All right. It don't matter how it may seem, that's why the scriptures say, for we walk by faith and not by sight, because this carnal, what we see carnally, it'll seem as if, odds are against us. We're outnumbered, All right. But we understand that once again, prosperity and victory come of the Lord, man. All right. Let's get this. Okay. Because it spoke about riches, I wanted to get this. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 21, it says, marvel not at the works of sinners, but trust in the Lord and abide in thy labor. For it is an easy thing in the sight of the Lord on the sudden to make a poor man rich, man. All right. Because riches and all, once again, the race is not to the swift. The battle is not to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding. All these things are really given by the Lord, man. All right. Okay. The victory. All right. Let's get this verse. Revelation 12 and 11, man. And this is another thing, man, because the victory is already given to the Lord's elect. All right. The victory is already given to the Lord's elect. All right. The Lord's his elect, his chosen have already been predestined to get the victory, man. So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 11. It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Now, when you get this word overcame, all right, and the him is speaking of the devil, man, speaking of Esau, all right, because this is Esau's world, this is his kingdom, man, all right, and the Lord's elect are gonna get victory over him, all right, the beast, all right, and his micro C hip. We could get that verse, but it says overcome, succeed in dealing with a problem or difficulty. It says defeat, conquer, gain a victory, prevail over, man. Once again, prosperity and victory come of the Lord. Let's get that real quick. Victory over the beast. All right. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 15, verse 2. It says, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them, because the Lord's elect are going to be taken up into the chariot, the cloud, the so-called UFO, and they're going to be looking down upon the earth where the Lord has brought what? A great fiery destruction. All right. And it says, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, and stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High, man. All right. And see, the time that we're coming into, it's going to look like this devil going to have the upper hand, man. All right. Because the scriptures speak out what? At last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, man. We're coming to a time like no other, but the scriptures say what? But he shall be saved out of it, man. Because prosperity, victory, salvation, it all come of the Lord. Going back to that first verse, all right, how the horse is prepared for the day of battle, but safety come of the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai. All right. So come, man. All right. The victory is already written. OK. I want to get these last two verses. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5. It says, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai. Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and make his flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai. All right. Cursed is the man that trusted in men. All right. And not only are we supposed to trust in the Lord rather than men, but also in the Lord rather than these carnal things, man. All right. Food, water, ammunition, and, all these, like the scriptures say, I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me, man. Riches. All right. But Khan. All right. And to close it out, in verse 7, it says, blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, and whose hope the Lord is, man. And that's really the point. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to close it out, give infinite praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, time of this truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom.